two people submerged.
Ellida. There was something so fantastical and magic that they captured in this filmmaking. Just a true poetic vision throughout, from the lovely sound score permeating the piece, the intimate narration of brilliant storytelling, and just gorgeous cinematography capturing the environment that acted like another character in the piece, influencing the mood with its tides and with its natural beauty. Expertly captured the sensuousness in each scene as well, the textures, the touch of another, the feeling of the water around one's body, the sound of someone telling a story. Just a really brilliant sense of nostalgia as well, the past and the present in direct contention of where the future is going to go. So this gave me a lot to contemplate over, and I was really hooked. And I thought it was just brave filmmaking.
Hey, I'm commenting on the feature film Ellida. First of all, I have to say that I'm a really big Ibsen fan, and I really appreciate how faithful an adaptation this was to his original play. It, in a weird way, sort of put me in mind of Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, or, Joss Whedon's Midsummer Night's Dream, in the sense that you're sort of in the way that you took modern characters in a modern setting, but really stayed faithful to the original text and sort of just took this, old, time-honored story and really didn't change much to bring it into a modern context. I really appreciate the way that you just sort of let it exist, in our modern world. And I think it was effective, and I think it worked really nicely. The only thing, I think it is a little bit like everything is sort of at the same emotion level. And it would be nice to, maybe goose the emotion a little bit here and there. I don't know, with maybe messing around with the score or the edit a little bit, just to give us a little bit more variety and fluctuation. But all in all, I think that you did a really, really nice job crafting, like I said, a very faithful and just kind of quiet and contemplative adaptation here. So really, really nice work with this.
Ellida, you have so much going on here. I mean, you have a father who's suffering from dementia. She's also dealing with a failing marriage, and it seems like swimming is a way for her to clear her mind. She's lost her child and it's greatly affected their marriage. And she's trying to replace the mother in his children's life because they lost their mother. And it just feels like she never really fits. And even with the daughters, you can tell that there's a sense of you don't belong here. She blames her husband, who was a doctor, for not saving their baby. And it initiates her starting this affair with this young man. And it just seems like she's always looking for a way to escape her pain. And she suffers so much loss throughout it all. So I understand why she wants to escape, and even more so when her father dies. There's some beautiful underwater images in this of her swimming underwater, of her swimming in the water. I feel like all of this is a symbol of her drowning in her grief. And I feel like her giving up her lover to recommit to her family is her trying to grasp back into her reality, because I feel like she feels like I've gone too far off in a tangent. But she still feels the void of the loss of the lover. She feels rejected by the daughter. She doesn't feel completely connected with the husband. She feels like there's a fuzz over their love, and she doesn't remember why she loved him in the first place. And then she can't get her lover out of her mind. And essentially, it seems like both of them are just pretending and existing. It all will come to a head when she's finally honest with him. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I want to be with my lover. I don't want to be with you. And I feel like he's holding on to her because he's lost his wife. He's lost his child. He's holding on to her because he needs to feel like something, like he's not going to lose something. And I think she's holding on to him out of guilt. And she wants to go back to this lover, even though he's suspected of murder. And he wants her to lie and give him an alibi, which is something that she's very conflicted about, because I think she feels like, if you love me, this is not something you would ask me to do. And he feels like, well, if you love me, this is something you would absolutely do. And so there's a lot of people whose opinions are on this. Her husband obviously knows about this affair this whole time, which is another reason why I think he's grasping so hard to her, because he's trying to keep her. But in the end, she does choose her husband. And it does seem like this lover has lost his power over her. And there's this switch in her. And then releasing him, she's able to find her way finally back to her husband and also find her way back to herself.
I thought Ellida was a very interesting approach to the play and the film. It was very compelling and interesting at the start of it. It really drew me into the character's life and made me really curious to learn more as the film progressed. I loved the visuals. The footage was really great. And I thought the editing did a really great job as well of capturing the emotional elements that the characters were describing in the monologue, and even within the dialogue. I thought that was a really cool approach to how the editing was used. Great film.
Ellida. Ellida is a touching drama. We see the struggle of this woman who just tries to balance her sentimental life. She doesn't love her husband anymore. She basically implicitly accuses him of not saving their child who died in the house, and she also loses her dad. So she starts this relationship with a stranger, and at the same time she can't remember what she did. Why she fell in love with her husband is, I think, is a very poetic piece, and you can feel the tension, the conflict between the main characters, and especially Ellida main conflict, the internal conflict. What I loved more about the film are these long swimming. When she just goes in the lake, she starts swimming. Basically, that's a moment of that there's freedom for her. It's the only moment where she's completely free, and she can for just a tiny. A little bit of time, she can enjoy life again. I really love this clever move, and at the same time, I think the strongest feature of the film is the voiceover, the continuous voiceover that follow us from the beginning until the end. That's very poetic, it's very touching, and also I would say melodic. At times, the film itself it's got a slow pacing, but it's a good slow pacing. It never becomes boring or too heavy, and I really enjoyed the cinematography as well. The wide shots, the use of also long takes, which I'm a great fan of, and obviously in the acting as well. The main character. Acting is absolutely stunning performance. Great film. It was really touching. Congratulations.
Ellida is beautiful in every way. The narration, the cinematography, the poetic nature of it, the score. It all feels quite like one of those medieval romances but actually ends happy instead of in tragedy like they did. This is a film that really should be praised and submitted to festivals and around the world for awards. It's gorgeous. I was captivated right away with the beautiful cinematography opening the film with the wonderful score. And then throughout the film, as this woman poetically narrates her life, you really want to pull for her because she deserves a happy ending, but because the poems and the nature of the film itself feels quite like one of those old medieval literature pieces, you're always afraid that it's going to end in tragedy where she doesn't get her lover, that she's stuck in a miserable existence, that he's going to get caught. The tension's all there, and then it still ends happily ever after, which makes it a twist. Because with the score and how it's narrated, you're not expecting them to actually end up together. You're expecting it to stay miserable, and the fact that it does made this film a really great twist, and it's very, very beautiful to the point where it should be nominated for awards.
All right, I just finished watching Ellida. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I believe it's a source material of the play. I'm familiar with it, but I don't know it personally or particularly. But I thought that this piece was really interesting because it really maintained the sort of current day modern backdrop for our times, but I believe stayed very tightly to the source material and construct, which ended up giving it a very sort of ethereal and spiritual feel that I thought really worked. I thought the score in particular really matched sort of the mood and the tone, a lot of the natural aesthetic and aspects of the piece, as well as a very grounded and sort of relatable dynamics between the lead characters in particular created a very sort of consistent idea in terms of emotions and style that I thought really carried along throughout the piece. I felt like as you went on through the piece, you sort of were open to a lot of interpretations of in terms of the scenes and how you felt about them, and I thought that there was a lot of sort of very esoteric and spiritual ideas that came through with a concept that was grounded by very sort of relatable and real world themes. So I thought the closing images in particular with the red dress really stood out, and I thought that reflected a lot of the visual and tonal aspects that you saw appear through the piece throughout. So I thought it was clearly well done, a passion project for sure, definitely a strong intent and a lot of respect for the source material, which I thought really contributed to making the piece accessible to people like me who were unfamiliar with the source material. So I thought it was well done and well constructed, which is why I ended up liking it so much.